For most of human history, night was not simply the end of the day. It was a world of its own. A world without streetlights, without glowing windows, without phone screens, without the soft comfort of a switch on the wall. When the sun disappeared, the world changed. The trees became shadows, the wind became a warning. Every small sound mattered. A branch breaking in the distance, a movement in the grass, the cry of an animal somewhere beyond the firelight. Today, when darkness makes us uncomfortable, we reach for light. We unlock a phone, we turn on a lamp, we open a screen. But thousands of years ago, humans had only one fragile answer to the dark: fire. A small circle of light, surrounded by a world they could not see. And inside that circle, something deeply human began to happen. People gathered closer. They watched the flames. They looked at each other's faces. And they began to speak, not just about food, not just about tools, not just about where to go tomorrow. They told stories. Stories about animals, stories about danger, stories about ancestors, stories about spirits, storms, dreams, and things no one fully understood. And maybe this is where one of the most important human powers grew stronger: imagination. Because darkness did not only scare us, it gave us a reason to imagine. It gave shape to the unknown. And around the fire, humans learned how to turn fear into meaning. This is the Why Archive. And today we ask a simple question: why did darkness make humans tell stories? To understand this, we first have to forget the modern night. Our night is not really dark anymore. Cities glow, bedrooms glow, roads glow. Even when we try to sleep, tiny lights blink from chargers, routers, clocks, and screens. For us, night is usually quiet, controlled, and safe. But for ancient humans, night was different. When the sun went down, vision became weaker. Movement became harder. Danger became harder to predict. A place that felt familiar in daylight could feel completely unknown after sunset. The same forest, the same hill, the same river, but now hidden. And humans were not the strongest animals in that world. We did not have claws like big cats. We did not have the speed of deer. We did not have the night vision of many predators. What we had was attention, memory, cooperation, and fire. Fire changed everything. It gave warmth. It gave protection. It pushed some animals away. It helped people cook food. But fire also did something quieter. It created a stage, a small glowing center where faces appeared out of darkness. In daylight, people had work to do. They hunted, they gathered, they repaired tools, they watched children. They searched, carried, built, and survived. Daylight belonged to practical life. But night was different. The body slowed down. The group came together. The flames moved. The shadows danced. And the mind had space to wander. Researchers studying firelight conversations in traditional communities found something fascinating. During the day, conversations were often practical. People talked about work, resources, plans, and problems. But at night, around fire, the conversation often changed. It became more imaginative, more emotional, more social. People told stories. They spoke about people who were not there. They remembered the past. They imagined the unseen. They laughed. They warned. They taught. They connected. This does not mean every ancient human group behaved exactly the same way. But it gives us a powerful window into something ancient and human. When people sit together in darkness around a shared light, the mind begins to move beyond the present moment. A fire is not just heat, it is focus. Everyone watches the same moving flame. Everyone sits inside the same circle. The world outside becomes dark and uncertain. The world inside becomes shared. And that is exactly where stories become powerful. Imagine a child sitting near the fire. The child hears a sound in the distance. They feel afraid. Then an older person begins to speak. They tell a story about the animal that makes that sound, where it hides, how it moves, how someone once survived it. The child remembers, not because the lesson was written down, not because it was taught in a classroom, but because it was wrapped inside a story. This may be one reason storytelling became so important to humans. Stories are memory machines. They help us remember danger. They help us understand people. They help us pass knowledge from one generation to the next. A simple warning can be forgotten, but a story stays. Do not go near the river at night, is advice. But a story about a person who followed a strange sound near the river and never came back, that becomes memory. That becomes emotion. That becomes culture. In the dark, stories also helped humans practice fear without facing real danger. A group could imagine a predator, a storm, a betrayal, a journey, a death, a mystery. And by imagining it together, they became more prepared. The body was safe near the fire, but the mind could travel into danger. This is one of the strange gifts of storytelling. It lets humans rehearse life. Before facing the unknown, we can imagine it. Before danger arrives, we can speak about it. Before a child grows up, the group can give them memories they did not personally live. This is how stories make a group stronger. But stories did more than teach survival. They also created belonging. When people share a story, they share more than information. They share emotion. They laugh at the same moment. They become silent at the same moment. They fear the same shadow. They remember the same person. They begin to feel that they are part of one group, one memory, one human circle. And maybe that was just as important as food or shelter. Because humans survive together. A person alone in the dark is vulnerable. But a group around a fire is different. The fire says, "We are here." The story says, "We are together." This may also explain why so many old stories are filled with darkness. Forests, caves, monsters, spirits, stars, journeys into the unknown. The night gave humans the perfect background for mystery. When you cannot see everything, the mind fills in the gaps. A shadow becomes a creature. A sound becomes a warning. A dream becomes a message. A memory becomes a legend. Darkness created questions, and stories became our way of answering them. Why does the thunder speak? Why do people die? Why do we dream? Why do animals watch from the dark? Why are the stars above us? Why are we afraid? Long before science gave us measurements, stories gave us meaning. They were not always accurate explanations, but they were human explanations. They helped people live with mystery. And that matters. Because humans are not only creatures that need food, we are creatures that need meaning. We want to know why the world changes, why people leave, why danger comes, why pain happens, why we are here. A story may begin as entertainment, but often it becomes a way to survive the questions we cannot easily answer. And then something even more interesting happened. The firelight did not disappear. It changed form. Today, most of us do not gather around campfires every night, but we still gather around light in the dark. A television in a quiet room, a cinema screen, a phone under a blanket, a video playing late at night while the rest of the house sleeps. The flame became a scream. The storyteller became a narrator. The cave wall became a timeline, a feed, a channel. And we are still doing the same ancient thing. Sitting in the dark, watching light, searching for a story that helps us understand ourselves. Maybe this is why we are drawn to mysteries, to documentaries, to old stories, to strange facts, to questions about ancient humans, lost civilizations, psychology, fear, belief, and the hidden patterns of life. We are not just looking for information, we are looking for meaning. We are asking the same question humans have always asked inside the darkness. What does this mean for us? There is something beautiful about that, because it means storytelling is not a small thing. It is not just a hobby. It is not just entertainment. Storytelling may be one of the ways humans learned to carry fear without being broken by it. One of the ways we taught children about a world too dangerous to learn from alone. One of the ways we remembered those who came before us. One of the ways we turned darkness into connection. So the next time you sit in a dark room, watching a small glowing screen, listening to a story, remember this. You are part of something very old. Older than cities, older than writing, older than history books. A human being, sitting near a circle of light, trying to understand the shadows. Maybe we never really stopped gathering around fire. Maybe we only changed the shape of the flame. And maybe, deep down, every story is still a small light held up against the dark. This was the Why Archive. One emotional question, one strong story, and one human conclusion.
For most